New law enforcement technology is cool, specifically automated license plate readers. These babies can read and run license plates as they're driving by and are great for detecting stolen vehicles that would otherwise pass right by the cops. And this incident stems from just that. On December 1st of 2022, Virginia Beach officer got a hit on his automated license plate reader for a stolen vehicle. At the time of this video, the officer's name still hasn't been released. But the Virginia Beach officer initiated a traffic stop on that stolen car. As the officer approaches, you can briefly see a man get out of the back seat and start walking away. Technically, based on Maryland versus Wilson, that guy could be detained for the reasonable suspicion of the traffic stop alone. However, given that there's probable cause that this is a stolen vehicle, there is more than enough to detain everyone that's in that car. Now, given the officer was alone at that time, I don't blame him for letting the guy just walk away. But he starts getting the other people out of the car. It's hard to tell when a suspect is being compliant when they'll flip the switch to run or fight. And I think the police are given such a hard time that we're too rough with people, or, we need to stop using the excessive force. But if you're not getting hands-on immediately to control the suspect in that close a proximity, they're gonna get away if they want to. Our driver here is Deshaun Whitaker. He's got on him what I like to call a Gat Pack. The Gat Pack also makes an appearance in a Tucson shooting where the suspect almost shoots a canine but gets smoked instead. But back to our shooting, Whitaker ditches the Gat Pack and takes off. Now the officer's in a hairy situation here. Does he go after the driver, or does he turn around and try to detain the passenger who's not running at this point? And he chooses the passenger, Jacqueline Ortiz. Ortiz makes a less than valiant effort to run away and gets introduced to the local asphalt company. Immediately after she goes down, she gets her hand on a pistol concealed in her waistband. Now we gotta be careful because it's really easy to say how things should have been handled. I mentioned that because I started thinking that while I was watching this. He coulda, shoulda, woulda done something different. Yes, that's why training is good. There's a quote by Archilochus: "We don't rise to the level of our expectation, we fall to the level of our training." The scuffle continues and the officer does a good job controlling the suspect, not letting her take the gun out of her waistband. He also doesn't put a round in her back, which he is probably more than justified to do at this point. His gun even disappears during the scuffle, which I assume goes back into the holster, or I hope it does, because you don't want to set your gun down where the suspect can grab it. The driver returns and we find out why it's called a Gat Pack. Now it's a damn good thing this officer had his head on a swivel, because he dropped this dude before he could get a round off. He puts his focus back on Ortiz because now there's 2 guns against 1, but her focus is on Whitaker, who just got dropped by 4 rounds, and I'm thinking she doesn't want to get the same treatment. Just after the shooting, backup arrives and they put Ortiz in handcuffs. EMS transported Whitaker to the hospital where he was pronounced deceased. Ortiz was booked on several charges with no bond. As for the possible backseat passenger, there's no details on him. What are your thoughts on this shooting? Let me know in the comments. As always, like and subscribe. This is Tased and Confused, out.